It has been so very, very long since the minimum wage has gone up. The last time it was raised was July 24th, 2009. 15 years. And that I think is important, not only because it's a nice round number, it's an anniversary, but that means that it is possible that there are people who were born, grew up, and are now working and earning the minimum wage who, when they were born, it was the same that it is right now. And that seems fascinating to me. It's 725, and that's what it's been at a federal level for a decade and a half. Now, thankfully, there's been a lot of popular support for raising it in different states. And so different states do have some different limits, although many states still do just have that 725. There are some where it's been as high as $15 an hour. There are 60 cities and counties that have promised an increase this year, but it is still an epic battle at the federal level to get them to finally catch up to like 2012 or 2016 or whatever. And I would just remind everyone, I know you're having to balance a lot of different stakes in November, but just don't forget, if Donald Trump gets into office, which would almost necessarily mean that we're gonna have a House of Representatives and a Senate that's Republican, you can add another 4 years to that. You can maybe add another 8 years to that. So we're not talking about a decade and a half. We're talking about 2 decades minimum, which means that tens of millions of people who could potentially get a raise that could be life-changing for them will not get it. So add that to the pile of things that will be determined come November, at least in theory. Waz, what do you think?
I'm not somebody who always wants to be bashing the country like America bad, like as my general posture. I think we have a lot of great people. We do a lot of incredible things here in America. But boy, are there some just cold and callous sides to the things that we do here. And this minimum wage situation is like a glaring example of one of the colder elements of the country. Just the idea that anybody would be working for $7.25 an hour in any job is nuts. Okay,
Yeah.
in a country as rich as ours, that should just never be the case. And I hope we change this thing soon.
You know, when you have the Republican Party, which has been for several years now, basically during the entire MAGA thing, trying to present themselves as giving voice to conservative workers who've been left behind.
Please.
And meanwhile, they have tried to convince those workers to utterly hate and have no respect for anyone who makes minimum wage is so ridiculous. And they're not gonna raise it. The closest we've gotten on the Republican side is back in 2021, Mitt Romney and Tom Cotton had a plan that would have raised it eventually to $10 an hour, but they were basically using it as a way to require at a nationwide level that employers use E-Verify, a way that they can try to weed out undocumented workers. So they're like, okay, if we can help to facilitate our mass deportations, we'll give you the lofty $10 an hour. Oh my God, you're gonna be buying Lambos and Rolls Royces at your $10 an hour. They just don't care. It's utterly corrupt, the opposition to it. And by the way, the Democrats have not always been nearly good enough on this. They had an opportunity to raise it and they didn't. But under Harris, they need to be pressured to. And I just want to throw out one more thing before we close. There's also now a groundswell of support on the right. They're going to be requiring that the IRS not allow you to directly file your taxes. They are just bought by TurboTax and those sorts of things. It would be way better. It would save money for workers. It would facilitate a faster doing of your taxes. And they're going to pass a bill to stop the IRS from actually doing that. They are so transparently corrupt. Cruising into an election, they are spitting in your face. And I want to see how people are going to respond to it. Thanks for watching our video. Did you know that you can support our show by becoming a subscriber? Just click the subscribe button and also ring the bell so that you get notifications when we're live or when we post new content.